Good Monday evening, everybody. Got a package today, so hang out till after the intro and we'll open it up.
1. Let's get started.
So we got a package today from New Jersey. We've been waiting on this, so let's go ahead and open her up. See what we got. It's always nice when you meet straight up dudes that aren't afraid to give you the information that you need when you're doing something. It really helps the hobby, helps it grow, gets more people into it when, there's people helping along the way. It's just really super nice camaraderie when you feel like you can trust somebody that is knowledgeable in what you're doing. I want to give a shout out to Paul in New Jersey for the deal. Thank you, Paul, and for the information. Greatly appreciated. So this is the transmission I bought from Paul. It is fully built. It's ready to go. We're going to crack it open and look on the inside here in a minute and clean it up, and because it is used, and re-grease it and check it out on the inside. So let's get to that in just a second. So now we're just going to take the whole transmission apart and inspect it. We're going to look at the diff, look at the internal gears and bearings, look at the lay shaft, and if there's any cleaning up that needs to be, we'll clean it up. And I'm sure there'll be some wiping on the inside from where it's been run. This is a used transmission. To build a transmission like this is right around $650, $670. I got this one on a deal for about half. So if you find a deal on a built transmission, you probably need to get it up, snatch it up if you're looking for one. So this is the diff, and it looks really good. Everything rolls great. All the teeth look great on this diff. There's no chips. There's no nothing. Everything looks pretty much brand new. I talked with this guy extensively about the transmission and what he did and how he took care of it and what he used in it. So I'm going to take this brake case off and then split the case, and then we'll check out the inside of it. They put the Loctite on this brake hex pin. I've had a chance to look at some cheaper cases. I have a blue anodized case that doesn't have the cover to take the diff out real quick like that. And this RC Max case is extremely nice. Like, I can see why it costs so much to build one of these transmissions. The machine work's impeccable. The seal in the case, like splitting it, those tolerances are incredible. Everything just really looks nice. I really battled with buying this transmission because I've never broke a stock transmission. I've never even cracked a stock transmission open just because I've never had any issues. I've never tore up a diff. I've never broken idler gear or anything like that. I've had really good luck with Baja transmissions, although I've always been brushless, which doesn't have a snapping clutch, and it's just generally not as hard on the transmission. So here I am splitting the case, and I'm getting a screwdriver so I can split this case. The tolerances are very tight, and it's together really good when it's together. So I take a screwdriver and I split the case, and then we'll check the internal gears and the bearings out. So, okay, the case is open, and my initial reaction to the internal gears was, wow, they are incredibly beefy. The case looks good on the inside. There's some grease. I'm going to clean everything up, and then we're going to re-grease the gears and put everything back together. So here in just a second, I'm going to take about 30 seconds and clean the inside of everything, make sure everything's really clean, and then we'll put it all back together. So I'm about to time-lapse clean up the inside of this transmission, wipe everything down, make sure everything's clean. Just make sure everything's like it should be before we re-grease it. Put it back together and then re-grease the gears. I'm going to grease the internal gears with red and tacky, which is a high temperature, heavy duty grease that Lucas makes. This is the tube of it. I got like 3 of these small tubes for $10 at O'Reilly's. So I'm going to grease the inside. I'm going to use this little spreader because you don't really have to put a bunch in it. You just want to get it in the teeth of the gears and make sure that, it's in there pretty good. So here in a second, I'm going to start greasing the gears and reassembling the transmission. So I'll be back in just a second. Here I'm just wiping down the bolts, getting any, grease off of them that might be on them from previous. Just trying to keep everything a little clean, get the grease out of the threads and off the head of the bolts and the little stuff like that to put it all back together. This lay shaft does have a pin in it. I guess maybe if I decide to buy all the parts separately and build a transmission, I might buy a pinless one because I kind of can see where that pin getting sheared might be a failure point. Although if you shear that little pin, you're doing something. So here I'm taking the grease on the spreader and I'm just basically spreading it in the teeth before I put the 2 halves back together, on the lay shaft and the idler gear in between the lay shaft and the differential. So I'm going to just apply the grease and reassemble the transmission as it needs to be. I'll be back. I'm actually going to put this transmission behind an ALX Super 85cc that I have that's brand new. I have never even put gas in it. So the stock transmission would have probably held on for just a little while. I don't really know how long, but I'm sure it would have held on for a little bit, but it would have eventually broke. So this is preventive, trying to keep that from happening. And I'm excited about it. So I'm mating the two halves now. I'm just making sure I get everything lined up with the grease and everything. And like the tolerances on this case are extremely tight, so you can only push it together so far. But you don't have to worry about that. All you gotta do is pop a couple screws in it. You don't want to over tighten them, but it will pull the case together. And that's what I'm about to do. It's always good to have good tools, quality tools. You don't want to be searching for different size Allens or anything. So, that little investment really pays off in the long run. I about got the case tightened up, the two halves mated and tightened together. And then we'll put the diff in it and grease the teeth on the diff. Make sure everything's turning like it should, and put the rear cover back on it. So here I'm just making sure the case is tight, wiping off a little excess grease, and spinning it. Everything looks good. There's a bunch of grease down in there. So we're going to drop our diff down in there. Everything looks good, and grease the diff. So here I'm applying the grease to the differential teeth. And you really just want to make sure that there's kind of an even amount of grease in there, You don't really want to pack it full because it is going to get slung on the case. But this red and tacky gets pretty hot. Like, I think the drop point on it's 540 degrees, which I don't believe this diff will ever get. So, put as much as you think you need to in there. Roll it around, make sure there's pretty good coating on the teeth, and then let it go. So I'm just going to continue to grease the teeth and make sure there's a good even amount on there, and then I'm going to install the rear cover, and I'm going to leave the brake hex off still until I get everything changed out. I still got to take the buggy apart and take the transmission off that's on it before we can put this transmission on it. And here I'm putting the rear cover on, putting the bolts in, and tightening them down. So if you found this video interesting, learned something, liked watching me take this transmission apart, clean it up, put it back together, give me a like, comment below, subscribe, share with your friends. It all helps the channel and ensures that we'll be able to keep making videos. And we're going to drive these buggies here, and won't be long. It won't be long. I'm waiting on some wheels and tires for the top speed buggy. Waiting to put this transmission on the 85cc buggy. And we also got another King motor buggy with just a hobby wing setup on it that we're going to see how fast it'll go. So that's a lot to look forward to. I'm tightening the 4 bolts that hold the diff cover on. And there it is, ready to go. You also don't want to put too much grease in there because of the resistance. You don't want to overly, I mean, I know the 85 ain't going to have no problem spinning it, but you don't want to pack it too full. I finally get the bolt threaded into the lay shaft, and it's ready to go in. I'm going to not put the brake hex on it right now, and you know, next video we'll be taking the buggy apart and taking the transmission off of it and then installing this one. I really appreciate you hanging with me through the video and watching. So like I said earlier, if you haven't had a chance to like and subscribe, share, please do. Comment below. Let me tell me what you think. Let me know what you think about the channel, about the buggies, what I need to do next. You know, just let me know what you think. I appreciate everybody, and see y'all next time.